Yes. 23andMe got hacked a few months ago. Maybe I should modify that statement. Users of 23andMe got hacked a few months ago. In this presentation, I will show, number one, how the hackers attacked users of 23andMe, and number two, what the users could have done to avoid becoming hacked. My name is Anthony Germanos. I will be the presenter today. This is episode 195 of the Cyber Safety Net Stay Safe Online series. I've talked many times about using the same password over and over at different websites. And apparently the users of 23andMe who were victimized have not gotten that message. That's why I am creating this video. Maybe the users at 23andMe who got hacked will see this and realize that maybe they should stop using the same password over and over. Today's presentation is sponsored by my fourth book, How Hacks Happen. In How Hacks Happen, there are two author personas. There's me, Mark, the good guy, who wants to protect you, because I'm the good guy. And there's Brad Cracker, the bad guy, who wants to rip you off. And Brad says, "Hey, man, why is Mark giving me a hard time? I'm good at hacking. I like hacking. I like the easy money. I wish Mark would stop giving me a hard time." And that is Brad Cracker's worldview. Back in episode 102, I introduced the CIA triad, or the Confidentiality, Integrity, Availability triad. Since we're talking about people who have their identities stolen, we are in the confidentiality domain again. And now I'm going to start sharing my screen with a PowerPoint slideshow. And I know I ran a few slides ahead. If you use 23andMe, watch out. We cannot blame the people at 23andMe. Instead, we would blame the users who left themselves exposed to becoming hacked. They left themselves exposed to becoming hacked because they were victims of credential stuffing. My fourth book, CIA Triad. Now let's learn about credential stuffing. And I'm quoting a blog post from 23andMe. I'm quoting it twice in this slideshow. Here's an excerpt. Here's my first excerpt. Through a process called credential stuffing, that is, usernames and passwords that were used on 23andMe.com were the same as those used on other websites that have been previously compromised or otherwise available. Yeah, you may say, credential stuffing, what exactly is Mark talking about? Credential stuffing is a type of cyber attack in which the attacker collects stolen account credentials, typically consisting of lists of usernames or email addresses and the corresponding passwords, often from a data breach, and then uses the credentials to gain unauthorized access to user accounts on other systems. Yes. What happened is people use the same usernames and passwords over and over and over. And what the hacker did is they were able to harvest usernames and passwords at other websites and then use them at 23andMe to log in to 23andMe as those users. We cannot blame the administrators of 23andMe for this. Instead, I would argue we blame the people who use the same usernames and passwords over and over and over. And if you do that, you know who you are. Let me ask a blunt question. Do you want to become a victim of credential stuffing? You may intentionally or unintentionally want to become a victim. And if that's the case, then you would use the same username and password over and over and over at different sites because it's easy to remember the password. Now here's the opposite. Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to become a victim of credential stuffing. If that's the case, then you would practically change passwords. You would change passwords at different websites to make sure you're not using the same password over and over and over. I'm quoting 23andMe's blog again. We also required every 23andMe customer to reset their password. In addition, 23andMe now requires all new and existing customers to log in using two-step verification. Bravo to our friends at 23andme.com. They're forcing users to change passwords. And hopefully people will change passwords to passwords that they're not using elsewhere. Now, people would say, but Mark, I got a lot of passwords. Well, you think you got a lot? I got more. Use a password manager. The one I use is LastPass. It's not the only one out there, but something is better than nothing. You can create an account at your password manager, in this case, LastPass, and then update your passwords at all the websites. And of course, with a with a password manager like LastPass, you don't have to remember all the passwords. Instead, let LastPass remember the passwords for you. In addition, you should use 2FA or MFA, multi-factor authentication, which is when you log into a website with a username and a password and some other criteria, usually a PIN that shows up on your phone via text or as a token in an authentication app. Credential stuffing. It's pretty easy to avoid becoming a victim, yet people do because they're lazy and they use the same password over and over and over. I know your time is valuable. I know there are other places you could have been, but you chose to be here. You chose to listen to me, Mark Anthony Germanos, tell you that you need to change your passwords because if you use the same password over and over, you will become a victim of identity theft. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Good day.